Hello, my name is Robin. I need your help to begin this story. Can you imagine a machine that plays music? It looks like a box. It has a handle, a crank on the side. It's called a Victrola. Can you say that? Victrola. Many years ago, the Victrola was an exciting invention because it was one of the first machines that people could use to play music. They placed a big round black disc on top. They used the crank to turn the disc. Then they lowered an arm that held a needle. When that needle touched the disc, it played music. It was like magic. Where did the music come from? It had been recorded on the disc by musicians like these. Miss Cora with her cello. Miss Winifred at the piano. Mr. Jim playing all these percussion instruments. And Mr. Doug on the clarinet. A wonderful thing happens when they all play together. It's just the sort of music you might find recorded on an old Victrola disc like this. You place it on the turntable, lower this arm, and when the needle touches the disc, you get music. I don't hear any music. Do you hear any music? Oh, yes, the disc must be spinning. That's what this handle is for. Let's wind up the music machine. Help me, will you? That's it. Now, just a little faster. Wonderful. Thank you so much. This music machine, this Victrola, reminds me of a story. A story about a porcupine who loved to dance. You know what a porcupine is, I'm sure. He's that prickly little animal who lives in the woods, all covered with needles. Porcupine is not very cuddly, though he is a very nice guy. And on this one particular day, he was going to a big dance. He put on his best bow tie and followed the sound of the music through the trees. If you listen, you can hear the music too. That music, coming from a Victrola like this, led Porcupine to a big party in the middle of the woods. Porcupine was so excited. He loved to dance, and he was a very good dancer. But he had one big prickly problem. Do you know what it was? That's right, his needles. He was worried that he might not get to dance. What if no one wanted to dance with a prickly porcupine? He spied his good friend Blowfish swimming at the edge of the water. I'm sure you know what a blowfish is. He's a fish that can puff up his face with air like a big balloon. Porcupine dashed over to Blowfish and said, "Do you want to dance?" Blowfish looked at Porcupine's prickly needles. "Impossible," the Blowfish said. "One prick with your needles and I'll zip away, whoosh, like a punctured balloon." Porcupine liked to think that anything was possible. So he said, "Well, what if I pulled you down with all my might?" The Blowfish puffed up his cheeks. "I don't see how that would help. You'd just fly away with me." Porcupine was determined to find a way. "Oh, what if I were very, very careful?" he asked. And then he danced a little jig to show Blowfish what a fine dancer a porcupine could be. Blowfish let all the air out of his cheeks in a big sigh. He couldn't imagine any way to dance with a porcupine that wouldn't send him flying up to the moon. Blowfish sucked a big breath in. "We're too different. Sorry, Porcupine, but you scare me," he said. "Oh, who will dance with me?" Porcupine asked. But Blowfish had already ducked down under the water and was gone. Porcupine thought about going home, but now his feet were tapping to a new beat. "Let's move to that beat. Come on, you try it." That's a salsa beat, and as any animal in the woods would tell you, squirrels love to dance the salsa. Porcupine looked around. And sure enough, he spied his friends, the squirrel sisters, dancing. Their furry tails were swishing this way and that. Porcupine dashed out onto the dance floor. "Hi, girls," he said. "Can I join in?" But the squirrel sisters shooed him away. "This is a dance for two, not three. Find your own partner." But Porcupine liked to think that anything was possible. So he stayed and danced a bit more with the squirrel sisters. Go away, Porcupine. You're messing everything up, the sisters told him. Porcupine was angry. His needle stood up tall. I wouldn't be messing things up if you'd make room for me, he said. But the squirrel sisters had joined hands and danced to the other side of the clearing, leaving Porcupine dancing alone. Once again, Porcupine thought about going home. But he looked down at his dancing feet and realized he wasn't ready to give up yet. From up above, he heard a voice. "Hey, Porcupine, looking good." It was his friend, Woodpecker. You know about woodpeckers, I'm sure. These birds use their beaks to drill into trees. Woodpecker landed on a nearby tree. "I'll dance with you, Porcupine," he said. "Come on up." Woodpecker was very high in a tree with no limbs near the ground. Porcupine shook his head. "You'll have to come down here." Woodpecker knocked his beak against the tree. "I have trouble dancing so low to the ground," he told Porcupine. "When I try to dance low, my wings lift me up high." Porcupine, who liked to think that anything was possible, tried to come up with a solution. "Well, what if I jump up high like this?" Porcupine was jumping around the dance floor, looking up at Woodpecker, not at where he was jumping. The other animals backed away. They were scared that Porcupine's sharp needles would prick them. A snake hissed. He could put someone's eye out. The Victrola stopped playing. "No jumping on the dance floor," the animals yelled at him. Then it was quiet. Porcupine's needles drooped. His face turned red. He covered his eyes with his paws and crouched down low. He wanted to hide. He crawled on all fours to a dark place under a tree. Porcupine sat on a rock with a thump. "Hey, watch where you sit," a low voice said. The rock Porcupine was sitting on had spoken. Porcupine looked down. A head popped out of the rock. It was Turtle. Porcupine stood up. "Sorry, Turtle," he said. "No problem," Turtle said very slowly, because we all know that's how turtles are. Then Turtle wanted to know why Porcupine was hiding in the shadows. Porcupine explained that he felt foolish because no one would dance with him. "I'll dance with you." Porcupine's needle stood up tall. "You're not afraid of me because I'm different?" Porcupine asked. "Nope," Turtle said. "I have this shell to protect me." "You don't already have a partner?" Porcupine asked. "Nope," Turtle said. "That's why I'm under this tree." "I won't have to be someone I'm not to dance with you?" Porcupine asked. "Nope," Turtle said. "But there is one thing." Porcupine's needles drooped. "What's that, Turtle?" he asked, afraid to hear the answer. "You will have to dance real slow." The Victrola was playing a waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So Porcupine and Turtle danced together, nice and slow. You try it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. My goodness, our story was going so well. What happened? Oh, yes, that's right. Just when Porcupine was enjoying his first dance of the evening, the needle on the Victrola broke. Remember the needle? It goes in the arm and touches the disc that is spinning around. They must have a needle to play the music, and now it was broken. Blowfish sighed. The Squirrel Sisters just sat down. The Woodpecker knocked his beak on the Victrola. Turtle pulled his head back into his shell. Then a small voice said, Excuse me, I have an idea." It was Porcupine. The crowd parted. They made a very wide space, actually, to let Porcupine through. Porcupine, who liked to think that anything was possible, reached over his shoulder, plucked a needle from the center of his back and said, "Try using this." It worked! Help me crank up the Victrola. Porcupine's needle fit the arm perfectly. Porcupine had saved the dance, and the music began again. Everyone wanted to dance with Porcupine. Blowfish, the Squirrel Sisters, and of course, Woodpecker. Yes, everyone wanted to dance with Porcupine. But Porcupine stuck by his friend, the loyal, though very slow, Turtle. And sometimes, when Turtle was too slow for a jig or a salsa, Porcupine danced alone and had a fine time doing it.